evening, everyone, and welcome to the next episode of With Conviction, a story of hope, horror, and history. My name is Rain, my pronouns are she, her, and I am your GM for this adventure. With me are my intrepid heroes for this campaign. Why don't you all introduce yourselves?
Hi there, I'm Alice. I use she and they pronouns, and I play Desdemona Hartwood, who also uses she and they pronouns. Desdemona is a Roseheart guardian, gothy, punky, you know, young college kid with a heart of pink and some brand new wings.
Hi, I'm Skyland. My pronouns are they and them, and I play Kris Whitlock, whose pronouns are she or any. Kris is our very, very sporty firebrand artillery magical, not a girl.
And I am Rob. My pronouns are he, him, and I play Eliza Hardwick, whose pronouns are she, her. Eliza is our stalwart soul warrior, and she is very fiery and very worried about cannonballs right now.
Yes, because as we last left you, you had entered this mysterious lair, as you've been calling them, and discovered that it is extremely large and worryingly old and corrupt. And as you were making your way through it, you traveled deeper and deeper into the fog and began to cross a field as suddenly what sounds like bullets are whirring over your head.
I think Des immediately materializes her shield and starts trying to point it in the direction that the projectiles are coming from.
That would be directly ahead of you.
Okay.
There are 3 zones in this fight. There is an opposing tree line, which you cannot see right now. There is the field you are in, and there is the tree line behind you. As the fog is so heavy, you cannot see the enemies in any zone except the one you are in right now. The one you are in, you see 2 enemies. They are long and slithery and somewhat salamander. Like if you took a salamander and crossed it with a person.
A salamander.
Hmm.
Damn it!
Indeed.
Hmm. Which one of us should go first?
I feel like you should just get protect online.
Okay, I'm into that. So for my action, I'm gonna sling my shield down in front of Kris to try and get protect rolling on them. That is, can I, by any chance, if I'm throwing my shield down in front of them, any chance I can add shield check or endure to it?
Endure is the one that you normally use for protect, yes?
Yes, that's what I normally use.
Okay.
If I can use that, then that's an extra +1, which will give me 10 total for the protect.
Ooh.
That's pretty good. Yeah. You are braced in front of Kris, I believe you said?
So this was something I wanted to see if this was an acceptable action. The thought was I would drop my shield down in front of her and then fly up into the sky zone. Is that acceptable?
Uh, yes. I think you can absolutely do that. And we see the shield. It looks like it's going to, as you throw it, it looks like it's going to slam into the dirt in front of Kris. It does not. It stops abruptly in front of her,
Ooh.
in the direction, facing the direction that the gunfire is coming from.
Excellent.
And you are now in the sky.
Is this high enough up that I'm above the fog?
You are, in fact, above the fog, yes.
Okay, so I can see the battlefield pretty well.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, that's my turn.
All right. One of these salamander-y creatures slithers up toward Kris, I think, and is going to take a swing at you. and the shield twists around just in time to deflect it, and it not only doesn't deal any damage, it is also now off balance as it recoils from this because it rolled a 6.
Ooh.
This is why I should play things to their strengths and not their weaknesses.
All right. I'm ready for Eliza to do something.
Go for it.
All right. Eliza sees this happen, and she just like steps up towards the salamander, and she just says, "Salamanders are fire spirits, and fire is mine." And her sword catches on fire as she says that, and she gets a 7 for fight.
All right. Yep. One of them takes, I believe, a point of stress.
Yes, I'm not teched up on darkness right now,
All right.
and I have to move to trigger that anyway. But yeah, so she's just gonna giving it a stab and placing herself between it and Kris.
You said this was a 7?
Yes.
Okay, so that'll consume the off balance against that to make that an 8, I assume.
Oh yeah.
And then, Des, you see something in the opposing tree line. It looks like muzzle flash, except it's dark. It's purple instead of, the normal colors of fire that you would expect.
Right.
As something is taking a shot at, let's say, Eliza.
Okay, so I have an important rules question here as well. So I have guard as an ability, which is when you take the protect action, you may use the result you roll a number of times in the same round as your current darkness. So with the -1 I've got, can I use protect a second time? And second question, does it have to be on the same person?
Son of a bitch. Yes and no, respectively.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna reuse that 10 that I got to
I hate you.
protect Eliza. I think I see Des sees the muzzle flash, and she like reaches out towards her shield. Oh yeah, that'd be good. It disappears from in front of Kris, reappears on her arm, and she immediately grabs it and flings it down in front of Eliza to
That's
protect
very
her.
cool. Yeah, so Eliza, you hear a crack, you see the shield disappear, and a split second later, it whirls down from above you somewhere in the fog, just in time for a bullet to ricochet off it and scream past your ear.
Eliza just like looks at the shield and then gives a smile up at where Desdemona is.
Well, Rain, call this revenge for all of your Hildebrand shenanigans. Banished for the whole fight, Rain.
Damn you. All right. I believe we have one more player.
Yeah. Kris is grinding her teeth right now. She is frustrated that not only is this not home turf, but this is a particularly difficult set of terrain for her, and this is something she's not used to. Everything she knows she can see is in the same zone, but she just saw bullet come from elsewhere. Can she peer in the direction of that gunfire to see if she can see its source?
From where you are, I'll give you a roll for it and say that it won't consume your action. Normally, a skill check would consume an action, but I'll give you this one.
Okay. Can I roll inspect on that?
Yes.
Oh, thank fuck. That's an 8 on the dice, plus 1 is 9.
Okay. You saw that same dark muzzle flash that Des did, but it's gone. You're not quite sure exactly where it's coming from.
Kris is grinding her teeth, frustrated with this unfamiliar terrain, and she takes a step backwards toward the tree line that's behind her, checking around to make sure that they aren't going to get flanked from behind. Can Kris see the salamanders that Eliza's fighting?
Yes.
Okay. Having backed up, are there any other monsters behind us?
I assume you have moved to the previous tree line?
Correct.
No, you do not see any in that zone.
Okay. And with that, Kris is going to turn around now that she feels secure that they don't have anything on their back. She's going to summon a stone softball and pitch that at one of the salamanders in front of Eliza.
All right. Which one are you throwing at? There's two. There's one that's uninjured and one that has been mildly injured.
She's going to aim at the one that's been mildly injured. Rolling place.
Sounds good.
Oh, that is an 8 plus 2 is 10.
Nice.
Love it when it works out like that. You are not benefiting from any of your dark side abilities, if memory serves, so it just takes 2 points of stress.
Kris has 2 light and isn't using breed at this point or any other
Sounds good.
ability.
But you
no.
did get a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it takes 2 points of stress. It is clocked in the side of the head by this thing, and it gets knocked over, just sprawls on the ground, and Eliza, you see this thing is knocked down and it gets back up, and there is a chunk of its head missing as it gets back up and looks at you with one eye and another eye that's not there.
Hmm.
I
Great.
hate that.
There's going to be another crack sound, and something is going to shoot at, let's say, Des. You're up there.
Cool. And don't worry, I can't protect a third time.
Well, that is an 8. So you see the crack of this dark fire again, and something comes zipping up out of the fog and rakes through one of your wings.
No, my wing.
And you take 2 points of stress.
2 points of stress. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
Let me mark that down.
Top of the round. Who's going?
Top of the round to you. Does anyone have something they definitely want to do right away?
Yeah, I think Kris has something here.
Okay,
Okay.
go for it.
Kris has her footing again, and she turns and glares at that salamander. You need to stay down, damn it! And she's going to take the time to use Reed to line up her shot this time before letting loose. So that will be rolling at +2 for my light and +2 for place. This is the same salamander that went down and got back up again. Oh, it's a good thing I took that, because that is 5 on the dice, +4 is 9!
Yeah. It gets back up. It is glaring at Eliza. There's a shout, and it gets struck again, and now its torso is missing, and this time it does not get up. Instead, it's like watching a time lapse of something decaying into the earth as this thing begins to vanish.
I won't lie, I'd be pretty upset if we took its torso out and it was still like, nah, I'm good.
Average BattleTech game.
It's but a flesh wound.
There's our obligatory Monty Python reference.
Hey.
It only took 18 episodes.
Frankly, I'm
Should I
surprised
cut
it took that long.
Mm.
Is Monty Python famously litigious?
No, I'm
No.
just making a joke about cutting things.
Mm.
Editing rain, leave that in.
No, see, cutting things is Eliza's job.
Right.
Fair, fair.
Okay, so Rain's turn?
Yes. I actually hadn't noticed that.
I don't like that sentence. Not with that tone of voice.
You see another shape emerge from the fog in the opposing tree line. This one seems somewhat more human, and you can see it holding the rotted remains of a sword. And it starts shouting something at the last remaining salamander creature. And you shouldn't be able to understand it. It's not English. It's not even a language per se, but you still understand what it's saying. It's berating this thing, telling it to get up and to fight and to drive back the feds. And that's its turn.
It said drive back the feds.
Yes. Well, the federals.
Okay.
Or more likely the Yankees. Is that where
They
this is
also
going?
called them the federals.
Okay. Yeah. At the moment she comprehends that, Eliza's backpack just unfolds and ignites, and she is streaking straight towards this thing with the sword. And I mean, it's an enemy with a sword. Of course she has to go for it. Her ideal is to do the lance just past it after having slashed it in midair thing, but let's see how well she does at that. Oh, well, that's a 10 on the dice plus 2 for reading patterns, so 12.
All right, so that's 2 points of stress.
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes that and staggers, and it's injured. There is a massive cut. You can see straight through part of what should be a rib cage, but it is still standing, just barely.
Like I've said, Eliza plays a lot of Fire Emblem. She knows how to ID an officer type enemy.
She's also familiar with the obligatory Fog of War map.
Uh-huh.
You see the remaining salamander slither up toward you, and you can hear it mumbling, "Feed, please, just feed us." And it's going to try to sway you. It is decisive, and it has received help, so that is a +2. And that is a complete success. It rolled a 9 to start with, and had a +2.
So how far do I move?
You move 1 point toward darkness and hesitate.
All right. We see Eliza just stand up from the crouch she landed in after she did that attack and takes a moment to breathe. She's hearing this thing talking to her, but she knows better than to listen, and her fire turns blue.
All right. I believe Dez is the only one in this round who hasn't gone yet.
Yep. All right. Okay. Well, there goes that plan. Okay. No, yeah, this is fine. So I can see everybody, right? Since I'm up in the air?
You can see people. You can see into the field and rear tree line zones.
So can I see the new guy that showed up?
Yes.
Okay, then I think Dez is gonna try to attack from the sky. I think she's gonna dive bomb them with her shield out in front of her.
All right.
I think it's appropriate to use shield check for this. Is that acceptable?
Yes. And who are you attacking?
The officer looking guy.
Sounds good. All right. Go
The
ahead and make your roll.
Well, actually, before we roll, I have an idea. I think that dive bombing someone's shield right in front of you is heroic enough that I think it's time we introduce the courage mechanic.
I would be inclined to agree. That's pretty badass. So go ahead and make your roll,
Okay.
and we'll get to.
Okay.
All right. With shield check, that is a 9 total.
Yes, that strikes home. And what Eliza sees is a pink bolt drop from the sky like a goddamn anvil and crunch this thing into the ground. And a moment later, Des standing up, dusting herself off.
Eliza claps.
Hell yeah. I think Kris actually says that. Hell yeah! From the distance.
Excellent.
Fantastic.
And I like that enough that yes, you are going to get courage for that. So for our audience, courage is a fairly basic mechanic. If during the course of a session you do something cool or compassionate, if you behave as the heroes that you are, your GM can choose to award you a point of courage, which goes away at the end of the session if it is not used. When you choose to use it, you can simply turn one of the dice you rolled into a 4. So if you rolled perhaps a 2 and a 3, you can turn the 2 into a 4 and change the course of your roll. So for example, if you rolled the 1 and a 6, you could replace the 6 with a 4 if you wanted.
If you
If
were
you
a
wanted to
ranged
fail it.
person.
If you want Rain to be happy.
Or you can replace the 1 and then bam, that roll is a 10.
Exactly.
How would you do that though?
That's not helping Rain.
I mean,
Um,
sometimes we want to fail.
That's true.
Yes, and there's a rule that we can fail whenever we like.
No need to use courage for that.
Yeah.
So should we bring up the fact that partially we didn't introduce this because we kept doing cool things and going, wow, that's so cool. Too bad there's no mechanic to reward that.
And yes, unfortunately, we have forgotten to use this for entirely too long.
18 episodes.
We're professionals.
Now I think that Salamander is going to move toward you, Des, and also try to beg you. This time it does not have help, it just has decisive, which is good. That is a 9 total.
That's an extra 1 darkness, right?
Yes, it moves you 1 point toward darkness.
Sick. I was trying to figure out how to use a darkness trigger, so this helps me immensely.
Glad to assist.
And is that the last round of combat?
I believe everyone has gone, yes. So I believe it is the top of the round then.
Right. Eliza is going to look at this situation and quickly conclude that between them, Kris and Des have this handled. Eliza rockets towards the opposing tree line. She's going to try to find out where those gunshots were coming from.
Yes, and as you get there, you can see 2 of the lanky firearm-wielding creatures that you had encountered when you first opened the portal. They are posted up against what appear to be... At first, it looks like fallen trees, but then you realize it's growing out of the ground instead of having fallen over. And they are up against that, using that for cover and taking shots.
Oh no, plant-based defenses. These will definitely counter all of my abilities. Eliza is just rocketing straight towards one of them, going for a fight.
All right.
Wow. You're gonna think I'm bullshitting, but that is genuinely a 12 on the dice.
I believe you.
Ooh.
Okay, she's very good at fight rolls tonight. Yeah, so 2 base plus she has the strike ability, which adds an extra point of stress, so she deals 3 stress to one of these things.
Yeah, you cut right through it. And it falls backwards and it is dust before it hits the ground.
Can Kris see the field anymore?
Des is in the field, so yes, you can see into the field, and now you can see the flare of light and some of the fog starting to disperse. You can see into the opposing tree line. So the other one looks at you, Eliza, decides, screw this, I'm out, and it's going to move out into the field, and it's going to keep shooting as it advances, and it's going to take a shot at Kris. Oh, okay. I wish I could deal more damage with that, but that is a 13 total. So Kris takes 2 points of stress.
As that shot rips through Kris's shoulder, she grins and says, "Those two are my light today. You think a shot's gonna do that to me?" And she rolls that shoulder as it heals, and that wound burns brightly. I'm gonna use Burning Bright to shift that to harm into conviction.
Amazing.
Love that.
Very cool.
She is now at 4 light,
Oh, Jesus.
and her hair has shifted. If anybody cares to see it, it is now strawberry blonde. It appeared normal earlier. It is now strawberry blonde.
And I believe it is one of your turns.
Okay. Can we get an update real quick?
All right, so Eliza is in the opposing tree line. Des, the rifleman, and the salamander are in the field, and Kris is in the tree line behind you.
Okay. Can I make it into the same zone that Kris is in, or is that too
The tree
far
line
away?
behind you, yes, you can make it there quite easily.
Okay. Then I think after having gotten that good dive bomb in, Des takes a running step backwards and launches herself backwards towards where Kris is, and skimming above the ground, comes up in front of them to protect them once again.
All right, go ahead and roll for that.
Not as good as last time. With Endure, that is an 8 total.
All right, partial success.
So that means that Kris can't see anymore, right?
Yes.
So I think what happens, if Des were to move toward Kris would try to wave her off and be like, no, you need, try to wave her off, because Kris has understood that her friends are the only reason she can see right now.
Okay. And I can't use protect on Kris unless I'm in the same zone, right?
Yes.
Then
Sweet thing, sugar, I'm fine. That thing didn't even hurt me. Don't worry about it. I need you to be my light more than I need you to be my shield.
is the thing with the gun still alive?
Yes.
Then Des will try to slam that with her shield.
All right. I need you to understand, I'm really hoping that you get a full success right now.
Courage, you could help make that happen.
That's a good point. Yeah, unfortunately, not a full success. This is an 8 total, and Also, doubly unfortunately, courage will not help me here.
Double force.
I rolled a 4 and a 3. So I could bump it up by 1, but that would only be a 9.
Yeah, you knock it off its feet. It scrambles backwards and tries to get back up. And it does take a point of stress.
Okie dokie.
The salamander is going to try to sway you again. It speaks in that same voice that is not a language, and yet somehow you can still understand what it is saying. But this time it rolls like shit. So it actually moves towards you. And what is your conviction right now?
That is a -2 on the darkness side.
Okay, so it shifts slightly. Whose turn?
Kris sees the monsters that are struggling against Des, and she grins. This is starting to be fun. She takes a moment to soak in what it feels like to be powerful. And she summons up a volleyball. It burns along the seams with the brightness of the light that is her conviction. And as she serves it, it streaks like a meteor. We'll see how much stress it deals. But she's aiming for that salamander. Sorry, I would like to use read on this as well, so she's going to take that time to line up that shot.
Sure.
Okay, so to do the math for the audience again, we're at +4 light, so read would allow me to take that +4 directly. Plus place would be 2, but the max cap on bonuses to any roll is 4. I rolled a 9 on the dice.
Ooh.
+4 is 13.
Uh-huh. So my understanding is that you deal 2 stress, yes?
If that's what the
A full
mechanic
success?
does, right?
Yes.
Yeah, then yes.
All right, yeah. You clock this thing good, and the light burns down its limbs as this volleyball explodes over it. And it screams and skitters away from Des.
Yeah, that's right. You leave my lovebird alone.
We just get a quick shot of Eliza talking into her headphone, and she's saying, "All right, so minor update. We're in the middle of a fight, and Kris is taking the time to flirt with Des. Just called her a lovebird."
Why?
And we're not tuned in on these, right? It's just Eliza.
Nobody else said that they called, so yeah, it's just Eliza.
A+. I love this.
That's so good.
God.
You know what? Just to make up for so many episodes of missing it, I'm going to give that courage too.
Okay.
Apparently, courage can also be gained by flirting.
No, just by being funny.
Okay.
That courage goes to Eliza.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Good.
And it is my turn now. The one with the rifle starts shouting, and it's again the same awful not a language, but again you can still understand. It's shouting at the salamander something to the effect of, "Don't worry about this one. Go get the one over there." And the salamander slithers away toward the tree line behind you and toward Kris. And it sort of snakes up toward you and again is going to whisper. And that is a 10. Now, this enemy has a particular ability. Normally, when you sway someone, they move toward your position, which would bring Kris down toward darkness. But this particular enemy has an ability that lets it shift you in either direction. And so the response in your gut, in your soul, however you want to imagine this, the response to what it says is so negative, so antagonistic that you shift in the opposite direction. You shift toward light.
I think these words that are not words are filtering in towards Kris, and Des sees the like buildup of light in them, and she sort of pulls her shield out, and even though it's stained glass, she like pounds her fist on it, and this ringing resonant sound drowns out the not words that this thing is using to push Kris over the edge.
I love everything about that.
Oh my god. I hate you so much.
Okay, so that means it's our turns again, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Kris had gone, if memory serves.
Oh, we're not at the top. I thought we were at the top of a new round.
I think we started one and Kris went first, if
Yeah,
I'm
Kris
correct.
did Kris did the volleyball thing.
Right.
Um,
Kris
Which
went
leaves,
twice in a row, right?
basically,
yeah,
yeah.
at the end of a
Yeah.
round and then at the top of the round.
Okay.
Um, which leaves
can-
Des and Eliza. Sorry.
Beautiful. No, you're fine. Can Des take a turn here?
Go ahead.
I'm trying to think what Des would say. So Des is going to call out to Kris to try to sway him. And did we ever figure out a good nickname for Des to call Kris?
Kris has said it previously that her team calls her boss, and you would have heard the volleyball players use that more than once at this point. We've heard it from Hazel, we've heard it from Morgan,
Okay.
we've heard it from Aiden too, I think.
Then we hear in like a super chipper voice Des calling across the battlefield to Kris, going, maybe wheel it down a little bit. And she's gonna attempt to sway Kris. With guidance is the specific ability that she has that lets her do that, whereas most people can only sway enemies. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. That is an 11 on the dice.
Yeah, that'll do it. Which I believe now moves Kris down to 3 light.
Yes.
Sweet.
Okay, and I think that is. Are there any enemies left in the zone that Des is in?
Yes, there is the one with the rifle, which is going to take its turn.
Okay, cool. Yeah, then Des isn't gonna move.
The one with the rifle is going to take another shot at Kris. Just barely. It rolled a 7 total, a 6 with a +1, so it wings you with another 2 stress.
Oof.
Kris takes that and winces, but it's only a moment before she stands up and grins again.
And out of the tree line, just Eliza is.
Goddamn Reaper.
Eliza is just streaking out at this musketeer, sword flaming in hand, and she is going straight for it.
All right, go ahead and roll.
Well, I rolled a 4 natively. With reading patterns, that only gets up to a +2, so I'm going to spend that point of courage to upgrade that to a mixed success.
Nice. So why don't you describe to me, as you're using this courage, describe to me how it looks like it's about to go wrong until you save it at the last second.
All right, Eliza is streaking at this thing, running on momentum from her jetpack, and I think the rifleman actually ducks under her first strike, and she lands with the practice that she's picked up from the fencing club, spins on one foot, and then lands a stab right in this thing.
Nice. And it doesn't have the time to realize that it has been stabbed. It just, there's not even an expression of shock. It's just gone. It just sifts away into the wind.
Omae wa mo shinderu.
What?
I wish I knew that reference.
Oh my god, you guys don't. That is Fist of the North Star. That is
Yep.
that is Japanese for "you are already dead."
So there's now only one enemy left. And it's going to try to sway Kris again. And rolls again like shit. So at this point, I imagine Kris is just not listening and does something along the lines of just kicks it in the face.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly what happens. She looks at this and goes, "You thought you could slither over here and beat me and my friends. You're cute." Then she puts a heel in its eyes.
Ooh, ow.
Just for insult, no injury here.
Not yet, but I think it's your turn, isn't it?
Yeah.
That should be the start of a new round, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We can have it be Kris's turn if we want.
Go right ahead.
Yeah, so at the top of this round, Kris has put her heel in this thing's eye and steps down and walks over it to move to the field. She turns around and realizes she can't see this thing anymore. So she looks at Eliza and Des and says, "Care to handle that one for me, dears?"
Anytime, Lady Hawk.
You got it.
Yeah, this thing doesn't have much else to do. It's gonna leave. It's going to attempt to flee. There's not much else it can do here.
True.
But that does not work.
I imagine that getting stepped on in the eyeball has made it hard for this thing to move effectively.
Yeah, no, it is in quite a bit of pain, and it is thrashing, and it's trying to slither away, but from the sound, you don't think it'll be hard to find it.
Yeah, Eliza's just gonna whoosh over into the tree zone, and presumably she finds it pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, it's right there.
All right. She's just gonna try to dispatch it, and she rolls a 7 plus 2 is 9, so that'll be 2 stress.
Yep, and you just it's a quick. There's pretty much no technique to this. This is an execution, and it fades into the dirt. Congratulations, you have solved my enemy puzzle.
The deadpan delivery.
I'm not gonna steal someone else's joke.
Yeah.
More than twice.
Look, you say it the first time to appease us, and the second time as a callback, and then you're good.
No. Comedy rule of 3s. It's funniest if you do it 3 times.
No, then someone else has to do it for the third time.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Well, you all solved Kris's flirting puzzle. I don't know.
Eliza has not figured out the flirting puzzle.
No, Des is also like, is this flirting? I don't understand.
So, you are all now in the middle of this field as the fog begins to settle back in. What are you doing?
Eliza is reporting to the other two. Well, good news. We dealt with that fight. No major injuries, it looks like. Kris was shot twice, but she's fine.
Yeah, slight table talk. How's everyone doing damage-wise?
Eliza's untouched.
Liza's untouched. Des has 2 out of 6.
Kris is in the same spot, 2 of 6.
Okay.
And Kris is at 3 light now. Eliza's at 1 darkness. And
Correct.
Desdemona's at 2 darkness. Do I have that right?
That's right.
I'll remember that.
We all see the HUD update in the top right of our screens. Rain
That little
will remember
butterfly
that.
symbol. This action will have consequences.
I both hate and love it when Rain says something in that tone that's like ever so slightly threatening.
Uh-huh.
Me too. Okay, so I think we are gonna want to explore a little bit more. How close are we to the spire that we're going to slay?
You have some distance, and I think the most disconcerting part is that when you were up there looking at this, checking the distance to this spire, do you remember how I said you could see yourself in the distance?
Yeah.
It was several U's beyond where you were.
Oh.
Oh, that's horrible.
So there's like,
Hmm.
I don't think Eliza has the sci-fi terminology to say what I'm thinking, so no.
Did the goalpost move? Or was it always that far away and I just wasn't paying that much attention?
I'm not sure any of the rules apply here.
Does that mean we can make up our own?
Worth a shot.
Somebody in this group, I'm not sure who, but somebody has a foreboding sense that you're not the ones making up the rules here.
Well, unless we hear otherwise, I say we just keep heading towards it.
Yep, I don't see a better way forward, other than forward for now. So let's see what we can do.
All right.
Gaily forward it is.
Off to see the wizard.
Off to see the wizard. And I think that's a good place for us to call this episode. Thank you so much to our audience, and thank you to my players. I hope to see you all next time, and have a good night. Thank you again for joining us on this adventure. With Conviction is a production of Silver Maiden Games. If you would like to play Conviction, check out the game at silvermaidengames.itch.io. Music for the intro and outro of this podcast is A Soul with Conviction by Doom Vega, who you can find on Bandcamp. Music within the episodes is by Rachel Rose Mitchell, who you can find on Bandcamp and Spotify. All rights to the music are retained by their original artist. Production and editing are done by myself and the With Conviction cast. Thank you all. This would not be what it is without you. You can find this podcast on Spotify and YouTube or silvermaidengames.wordpress.com. You can also find more about the game, podcast, and ways to contact us at silvermaidengames.wordpress.com.